Before we start, we've got even more new UGC for all the anime manga fans. Today, I'm dropping the evil pun heads with a couple of different variants, and for all the edgelords out there, this one's for you. It's just peak. So in the weeks to come, I'll be doing even more UGC releases and anime hair, so join my group down below, and follow me on Roblox to help me out. Let's get into it. What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today we're back with another banger Deepwoken update with a lot to discuss. I don't want to be that guy who just glazes, but we might actually be back. Last week, we received a new endgame rapier with the Needle's Eye, a medium weapon mantra with slice and dice, and the largest balance patch of all time. There were a lot of big changes that made last week pretty crazy, so check that out, but today it's time for this week. As always, the best way to experience everything new is to hop in game and try it out for yourself. Make sure to like and subscribe so I can hit 115k, and let's get into it. Before we start, it's worth mentioning a sneak peek down from the Deepwoken Twitter. So, teased a little bit online, it seems like there's a new race in the works called the Kirin. These are inspired by bats and live in caves, similar to the Ignition Union, and I'm really excited to see them in game. With the entirety of PvE being reworked, it's worth mentioning the massive changes. On all items that had DVM or damage versus monsters or monster armor, these have been removed from rollable RNG pips. If an equipment has any of these bonuses, they will be on there innately instead of randomly rolled. So to make up for this, there's a new feature called the BESTIARY, which I'll explain in just a bit, that lets the player have specific buffs against each monster, which is shared throughout the entire account, and let me explain. Being added as a new way to track monster information and gain direct stat boosts to your character, we have both the new Bestiary and Glossary. So these can be found at the top of your screen with the new symbols, but they're really cool. So opening up the monster Bestiary, there's a full list of monsters and bosses that you've discovered. After defeating an enemy, they'll be added to the Bestiary book, so you gotta catch them all. Each enemy is listed with custom art, your own personal kill count, and even quests with stat bonuses for PvE for the player. As shown on the right of each icon, you can obtain damage boosts and resistances by taking down a certain amount of each enemy, and this, I think it's pretty healthy. They're pretty cool with the names and art, and I absolutely love everything about this. A similar system is also here for bosses, which is extremely exciting to see. I think the achievement system that was added is overall much better than grinding for RNG based loot, and I'm a fan, but leave your own thoughts down below. Building on top for some PvE loot changes, it's now possible to drop progression based relics. Things like the Moon's Eye Tomes or Gilded Needles can now be dropped from your character to transfer or to trade, but they will not be dropping on death. I know a lot of people are happy about this, and honestly, so am I. Related to PvE, it's worth mentioning that angels have received a full visual rework, and now they look much more goofy and creepy. So angels still have their wings and spears, but now they have these strange eyes and masks that are just overall weird looking. So it's also possible to get these items as face accessories too, if you're lucky. Building on the drip, we've got a fresh new outfit, the Ignition Welder. This is easily one of my favorite recent fits since it's grimy and dark and perfect for any true Ignition Union worker. So I think it's gonna pair pretty well with several practical outfits, and it definitely earns a spot in my rotation. You can find this after farming in Cerament Peak and Miner's Landing if you do want it for yourself. So related to our new outfit, we've been blessed up with some new outfit talents for some of the older slept on picks that released with world events. The elemental outfits specific to each attunement just got a unique talent each, and let's check them out. So starting with Thunder Calls, Storm Chanter Raiment, this schematic has the talent Static Mastery. This is kinda crazy, stating our static withdrawal bonus no longer deals damage or stuns the user, which is essentially a free speed or damage buff on activation with this tool. Next up with Gale Breath, we got the Tempest Maker's Threads and the talent Tempest Evolution. This talent is specifically for Tempest Wind, the sliding wind blade talent, and it says if you land this move, you gain a damage boost in the air for a few seconds, and the attack is buffed. This is cool, and it's interesting if you want to go for a speed build, specifically with this mantra. Moving on to Froststraw, with the Icebringer's Vestments, the talent Refreeze says, landing any sort of ability that causes bottom freeze reduces the CD of orbital ice, which is overall nice to have. This is decent for maintaining your ice resistance, and it's valid if you're on any Froststraw build. Finally, finishing off the attunement outfits, we got the Sanguine Finery robes and the talent Focus Hematoma. So this is a little bit different, decreasing your your blood loss from any damage at the cost of less temporary HP gaining, and it's hard to say if people will actually use this. Blood loss isn't too much of a problem at all, so I guess we'll have to see. Next, with the Vigil outfit, we have the Vigil Sentinel with Vigil's Grace. This isn't the OG Vigil's Grace, but this talent grants the user bonus swing speed if they have a speed boost, which is always nice to have. Additionally, with a visual revamp to a boss, we got CHASER's visual overhaul. So beforehand, this Black Diver boss barely looked mad whatsoever, like you're just bugging him, but he's supposed to be a tweaker. Luckily, this has been changed in the current update, and I'm a fan. You should notice that his Black Diver uniform is now dyed red to symbolize his blood powers, and he's got a more worn, weary face. So he's got a pretty big beard and looks traumatized, but I think this is an overall improvement from before. Share your thoughts down below about this. Building on some base mechanics, let's talk about motifs. Motifs occur when you transfer a weapon's unique critical onto another weapon's base stat using Smith's alloy, but today we're not talking about those unique ones. So all transferred criticals through the motif system have a noticeable delay before any activation, but this has been removed for base weapon criticals. So now in this update, if you're using any weapon with a base weapon crit applied, there should be no delay and they'll perform just like normal, which I think is pretty healthy. Also starting today, there will be a new balancing thing that Deepwoken is doing called vaulting. This is very similar to Fortnite with their removal system, but I'll explain since it's a bit different. When something in the game is vaulted, it can no longer be rolled or obtainable, but players that have them will still have them until they get reworked. Personally, I'm not really a fan of removing content from the game temporarily, but this is just how it's going to be for now. The first things in the game that are vaulted are going to be spike traps because they had little to no counterplay with the place spikes, and Shadow Vortex, which essentially only had presence as a cheese mantra. We'll see how this system evolves, but I think it's really only going to be there temporarily for content that's a problem and is going to be reworked. With a small visual update to keep things similar and consistent, we have a new revamp to the options setting buttons near the top of your screen. If you look in game, you'll notice that the settings option alongside the help and log button now match with the Deepwoken UI theme that has been reworked. This is pretty nice to keep things consistent, and it feels a bit more gamey to immerse the player further. So nothing gameplay wise has actually changed, but it is nice to be consistent and fit with the theme. Next up, with some balance, I'll keep it short if I can with just the highlights. Starting with some oath changes, let's talk about BLADEHARPER. Soaring Storm's uppercut slashes now have a slight end lag to stop move stack abuse, so no more crazy combos, but on the upside, Lithe Step got buffed. Dodging with this is now way faster with less end lag, making it easier and snappy for reposition. Besides that, the window after Lithe Stepping where you can perform Soaring Storm has increased heavily, making it a lot less time constraining to actually do the uppercut. So this should be more forgiving in many situations and easier to use. I think it's a pretty solid balance shift that makes the combat feel a lot more intentional with this oath. Moving on to BLOODFOULER, its critical now comes out with even more telegraphed VFX for the standing option. You should be seeing clear symbols and circles pop up, making it way easier to read what's coming so you can react. Additionally, the cooldown has been increased for this attack, further nerfing how spammy it was, and I think that's pretty good. Also, another major change hit the air counter talent. Previously, it let you snipe players mid-air with a teleport jump, but now the window to trigger this effect has been drastically shortened. Basically, when somebody's falling down, it's going to be harder to hit them. With a weird and funny nerf to something kinda secret, we got nerfs to the GLUMFIG fruit. The damage being dealt by GLUMFIG Throne Potion was possibly the strongest potion that has ever been in Deepwoken, but supposedly its potency has been dropped. It's very vague, these nerfs, so I'm not sure what actually happened, but the GLUMFIG has finally fallen. Up next, with the support mantra, let's talk about Spark Swap. This Thundercall teleport mantra now has increased windup the further away your target is, and it will now be cancelled if you're hit mid-windup animation. Further upon this, you can now no longer Spark Swap somebody who is in stun or fully knocked to prevent cheese. I guess this makes this teleport a little bit more balanced since it's slower, and instant TPs shouldn't really happen without a windup. Moving on to a recent mantra that was added, Slice and Dice with its damage has just been nerfed. This thing was moving a little bit different, allowing the player to use it 3 times with a feint, because you can feint it to move and then use it twice if it hits. Luckily in this patch, it's been nerfed with its damage while keeping the same movement flexibility, which I think is better. You keep the gameplay but nerf the damage. And with that, this week's content comes to a close. As always, hop in game for weekly battle royale and check out all the new stuff too, and tell me what you think, cause I'll tell the devs. Thanks once again to all the supporters who motivate me daily and directly help out the channel. If you want to join as a member, go down below below, but besides that, my personal Discord, guild Discord, and my UGC group are linked, so check them out. Thanks once again, and make sure to like and subscribe. It's punchin' time.